Revealed, the touching life-changing moment when a millionaire found love with a poor miner after. The wind howled through the Appalachian hills, carrying the earthy scent of coal dust and the warmth of freshly brewed coffee wafting from the local diner. This was home for Ryan, a 33-year-old coal miner whose sun-kissed face told stories of resilience and pride. Every dawn, he donned his helmet and steel-toed boots, stepping into the belly of the earth, driven by the love for his family and the weight of bills hanging over his head. He was a man of hard work, grit, and unyielding spirit, and in his heart, he held a treasure trove of traditions passed down from his father. On an autumn day, as leaves tumbled like memories from trees, the tranquility of Ryan's routine shattered when Sarah, the town's prodigal daughter, returned. Dressed in stylish clothes that spoke of city life, she stepped into the diner, her eyes scanning the room adorned with faded photographs of joy-filled gatherings. It was a moment that intertwined loss with possibility. Just moments after hearing of her father's death, she needed solace, and the diner became a refuge, imbued with the warmth of community. As they shared stories both of grief and laughter, an undeniable connection flickered between them. Ryan's weathered hands cradled a cup, contrasting the delicate elegance of Sarah's. Their differences were stark. He was rooted in the earth, a guardian of his family's legacy, while she floated above it, navigating a world of luxury. Over coffee, a fire sparked, igniting conversations that illuminated their hearts and hopes. Underneath the diner's plaid tablecloth, they reached out to each other, as if seeking the missing pieces of their lives. But change breeds fear, and the townsfolk began to whisper. Jealousy festered in the corners of old bar stools as eyes followed their every interaction. Ryan felt the weight of their judgment, as palpable as the cold dust that clung to his clothes. With every shared laugh, they grew more envious. Ryan's heart ached, torn between the delight of budding romance and the haunting whispers that danced around him. Could he risk it all, the comfort of his community, for the chance of love? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as hope shone bright, a misunderstanding, fueled by a jealous acquaintance, struck a heavy blow. Ryan found himself on the brink of losing not just Sarah, but the burgeoning dreams he had held onto so desperately. Torn between passion and fear, he stood before the community, heart racing. Would they ever understand the purity of his love? The townspeople watched with bated breath, their hearts and minds divided, as Ryan defended his integrity with a fierceness that echoed in the mountains. As shadows loomed, Ryan prepared to confront the town's perception of him, wrestling with emotions that flared like coal dust in sunlight. Could love truly rise above the scars of prejudice and class? His heart pounded, and with determination igniting his soul, he stood firm, ready to stake everything for the woman who had redefined his world. How far would he go to bridge the gap between them? The air was thick with unspoken questions, the future hanging in the balance, leaving the townsfolk and readers alike anxious for the next breath of this unfolding story. Ryan's heart thundered in his chest as he faced the crowd. Voices chimed in, a mix of disbelief and disdain weaving through the diner. Old Mr. Jenkins, who had spent decades in the mines, shook his head, disbelief etched on his weathered face. "What do you know about real life, boy?" he called out, gauging Ryan with eyes that seemed to pierce his very soul. Taking a breath, Ryan squinted against the growing murmurs and the old fears festering in his gut. He wasn't just fighting for Sarah anymore, he was fighting for his own identity, the very essence of who he was. "I may not have your wealth or your title," he began, voice strong despite the tremor in his hands. "But I know real love when I feel it." He could feel Sarah's presence behind him, a warmth that steadied him. Her gaze, tinged with admiration, fueled his resolve. He turned slightly, catching a glimpse of her, reminded of how she made the air feel lighter. The whispers faded momentarily as he spoke. What we have isn't just about appearances. It's about two souls drawn together, fighting the darkness that life throws at us. The crowd shifted uneasily, skepticism hanging like fog. Some leaned closer, intrigued, while others crossed their arms defensively. A few familiar faces, once friendly, now looked on with contempt as if he had absconded from their lives. Yet, he pressed on, driven by something deeper than the fear of their disdain. I may be a minor, but I've touched the heart of something pure and you can't mind that. Ryan felt the weight of judgment pressing against him, but the glint of hope began to harden in his chest. He wasn't just a minor. He was a dreamer, a lover, and right now, he was unyielding. Sarah sees me for who I am. Not my job or my past, but what's in my heart. All of you might not understand it, but love doesn't care about class or status. It just stands firm. Finally, a hush fell over the diner, filled with surprised glances and some murmurs of agreement. Old Mrs. Lawson, who had seen more than her fair share of loss and heartache, offered a nod, her lips thinning as if she could see the flickering flame of sincerity in Ryan's eyes. At that moment, Ryan's confidence surged. Fear dissolved into determination as he took a step forward, his heart racing against the backdrop of anxious silence. What we've built out of the ashes of pain is a chance for something better. I'd rather risk all of this for her than live beneath judgment without ever knowing what true happiness feels like. Just when he felt the tide turning, a voice pierced through the quiet. It was Lisa, the town's self-proclaimed queen bee. With an air of authority, she declared, "You think you can just waltz into our town, sweep Sarah off her feet, and take her away? You don't belong here." Ryan's breath caught. The truth of her words stung sharply. He had never felt like he belonged in the social circles Sarah moved in, and he was painfully aware that his roots in this town came with a heavy price. But in that moment of doubt, Sarah stepped beside him, her voice strong and steady, "He belongs with me." As Sarah took Ryan's hand, electricity surged between them. Uncertainty morphed into a beacon of hope. The crowd felt the intensity of their bond, and even the skeptics couldn't help but feel the palpable shift. Could love really conquer the fears and divisions of their small town? With everything on the line, Ryan felt the weight of their stares, but more than that, he felt Sarah's hand squeezing his tighter. In that perfect moment, he realized their love was worth the fight, even if it meant facing storms of anger and misunderstanding. "Together, we can overcome anything," he vowed as the murmurs spread, hurdles shaping the beliefs of those present like winds sculpting the mountains. He couldn't predict the outcome, but he knew he wouldn't back down without a fight. Could the power of their love give the town a reason to reflect? Would it change minds and mend hearts long tangled in prejudice? The stakes were high, and the road ahead would be anything but easy. But Ryan was ready for the challenge. As he looked into Sarah's reassuring eyes, a new spark ignited within him. This was only the beginning. Just how far would the town go to see if love could truly change everything? Their shared journey was fraught with questions, and beneath it all surged an undeniable current of hope. Would they dare to embrace the storm to find their peace in the aftermath? Ryan's heart thudded in his chest, not just from the pressure of the eyes upon him, but from the electrifying grip of Sarah's hand in his. He could feel the energy between them, the weight of their unspoken bond radiating into the crowd. The murmurings continued, but they felt distant now, like echoes fading into the background. It was just him and Sarah standing there, anchored in their truth. But the peace didn't last. Lisa's presence loomed like a thundercloud, casting a shadow over his fragile victory. "You should know, Ryan, that this isn't a fairy tale. People will always talk. They will judge. And they will never accept you," she declared, her words dripping with malice. A flicker of doubt threatened to extinguish his flame. Ryan squeezed Sarah's hand harder, drawing strength from her calm. "Let them talk," he said firmly, his voice gaining volume. "I can't control their opinions, but I can stand here and fight for what matters." Some in the crowd nodded in response, a tentative agreement sparking in their eyes. Others, like Lisa, bristled, unwilling to concede. But Ryan sensed a shift. The atmosphere had thickened with possibility. What if, just maybe, the love between him and Sarah could challenge the status quo? Beside him, Sarah's expression was a mixture of determination and sorrow. "You can't allow their fears to dictate your worth, Ryan," she whispered, her voice a gentle reminder of their shared purpose. "We aren't just fighting for ourselves." Suddenly, the room felt more personal. Ryan could envision every face watching him, old classmates, neighbors, people he had grown up with. They knew him, yet they didn't truly see him. He was still the scared kid trying to fit in, only now he had something unprecedented fueling his spirit. "I won't cower," he declared with a newfound ferocity. "I may be a minor, but I have the heart of a man who will dig deep for what he believes in. Yes, I came from a hard life, but I know what it means to rise above. I've fought for every breath, and I'll fight for our love until my last gasp." The diners were quiet now, distracted, and Ryan could feel the air shift as tentative heads turned toward one another. Maybe they were starting to reconsider their judgments. Maybe his love could break down their walls. In that moment, he pointedly looked at Lisa. "You stand there wrapped in your privilege, thinking you hold all the cards. But let me tell you something, feelings can't be fenced in by status or wealth. Love is greater than these crude divisions." Lisa seemed momentarily stunned, her jaw tightening. The truth in Ryan's words hung in the air like a spark, igniting hope in unlikely hearts. Ryan turned to face the crowd, his voice softer but just as firm. "Each of you has your own battles. We've all faced struggles. But together, if we truly open our hearts instead of hardening them, we can create a community that thrives on love and acceptance rather than fear." As the last words fell from his lips, Grandma Lawson, who had always radiated wisdom and warmth, stood up. "He's right, we've seen too many loves fall apart because we were too quick to judge. Maybe it's time we look within ourselves instead." To his surprise, soft clapping began. One by one, people began to rise. The murmurs transformed into an encouraging chorus, and even Lisa's eyes hinted at a tempest of conflicted feelings. Then as their collective voices echoed through the diner, Ryan caught Sarah's gaze. She was beaming, a gentle tear slipping down her cheek. That single droplet encapsulated everything they were striving for: a life rich in authenticity and connection, a life free from shackles of judgment. But before Ryan could soak in the moment, the door burst open, and a man entered, breathless and wild-eyed. "You need to see this. There's been an accident at the mine." The diner fell silent again, the mood shifting instantly from hope to dread. Ryan's heart raced as he turned toward the door. Would he have to face yet another challenge, one that could change everything they had built? His footing faltered as uncertainty loomed larger than before. What would happen next? What would this accident mean for everyone in the town, especially for him and Sarah? The air crackled with tension as Ryan processed the man's words. An accident at the mine. The words hung heavy in the air, punctuating the fragile atmosphere he and Sarah had just started to build. A wave of dread crashed over him, washing away any light from the moment. "Is everyone okay?" Ryan demanded, his voice trembling. His instincts kicked in, pushing him forward. The crowd's excitement dissolved into hushed whispers, and worried glances exchanged like currency among them. The man stepped closer, his face a picture of concern. "I don't know yet, but they need help. I was just at the site when it happened. It's bad, Ryan. Real bad." Ryan felt his stomach drop. The mine, his second home, was more than just a place to work. It represented his family's struggles and the lives of those who scraped their way up from nothing, just like him. He turned to Sarah, whose eyes reflected panic and uncertainty. "I need to go," he said urgently, almost instinctively. His heart raced not just from the fear of losing someone he loved but for all the miners, their families, and his community. If even one person was trapped, the heaviness of the situation could crush them all. "Wait, Ryan." Sarah called, her voice breaking through the fog of his thoughts. "You can't go in without knowing what's going on first." Her fingers tightened around his wrist. He could feel her warmth, a lifeline in the chaos. "I can't just sit here. What if someone? What if they need me?" He felt the current of fear course through him, but the fire of determination surged stronger. "It might be dangerous." "Please," she urged, her voice soft but firm. "Can't we at least find out more? We can't jump into something we don't fully understand." He took a deep breath, feeling heat rise in his chest but recognizing that she was right. "You're right," he admitted reluctantly, feeling a heaviness lift from the weight of a hard decision. The murmurs from the other diners faded into silence, replaced by the sound of hurried footsteps as some people stood to leave. Grandma Lawson, who sat back down, looked at him with her seasoned eyes. "You know those miners, Ryan. If there's a chance they need you, you'll go, but you need information first." Ryan nodded, realizing she was right. Lisa's presence, usually so off-putting, was now completely eclipsed by the gravity of the moment. She stood on the outskirts of the gathering, her face pale, a flicker of humanity breaking through her previous hostility. "Let us find out what we can," Ryan said firmly, turning back to the man who had brought the news. "Where's the accident site? Can you lead us?" The man nodded, trying to rein in his own panic. "Follow me. It's just outside town, but it's pretty chaotic. Emergency crews haven't even arrived yet." Ryan felt Sarah's presence beside him, bolstering his resolve. He turned back to the diner, now filled with a sense of community that had begun to emerge moments earlier. He could see it in their eyes, they felt it too. They needed to come together. "Anyone who can help, we need to move. Let us find out what we can do." There was no time for fear now, only action. People began to rise, a wave of solidarity washing over them. He felt his own heart quicken not just from fear, but from the rising tide of hope and community spirit. He caught Sarah's gaze again. She was scared, yet proud. As they turned to leave, Ryan felt a shiver of anticipation. He knew the stakes were high to fight this, to dig deeper into the realities around him. If they worked together, he felt they could not only save lives but redefine what mattered in this town. But just as they moved toward the exit, another figure appeared in the doorway. "Wait!" A voice echoed through the diner. "You need to hear this too." Ryan's stomach dropped again. What more could a town already on the edge handle? His heart raced as he prepared for the unknown. What new revelation awaited them now, and would it tear them apart further, or unite them in an even more powerful way? Ryan turned, his pulse racing as he faced the newcomer. A tall woman stood framed in the doorway, her hair a wild halo, eyes wide with urgency. "You can't just rush over there," she breathed, glancing around at the assembled crowd. "They're saying it's worse than we thought." "Worse how?" Ryan pressed, his heart sinking at the prospect of even more bad news. "The explosion, it wasn't just an accident. Someone tampered with the equipment. They think it was sabotage." Her voice trembled, but the sharpness of her words cut through the gathered tension. Gasps spread through the diner like wildfire. Ryan barely processed the fallout of her revelation. An insidious act had taken a familiar danger and morphed it into a twisted nightmare. Lives weren't merely at risk now, they were intentionally endangered. His stomach churned. "What do you mean sabotage?" Sarah asked, her grip on Ryan's arm tightening. "I spoke to a miner who got out just before it happened. He swears he overheard someone talking about wanting to teach the company a lesson to make them pay." She took a shaky breath. "I came to raise the alarm before anyone rushed off blindly." Ryan felt his world tilt. Was this a retaliation against the mine's owners? Or something worse, like a personal vendetta? The miners, his friends, were now in the crosshairs, caught between corporate greed and a darker human impulse. The thought sent a jolt through him, almost paralyzing. Did he say who it was? Ryan demanded, voice steely. The woman shook her head. No, but they need to do a lockdown. There could be more explosives, more danger. We have to tread carefully. The weight of the revelation pressed down on everyone. Ryan felt a flicker of hope extinguished beneath the waves of fear. Grandma Lawson stood, her face lined with worry. Then we need to gather everyone and get them to safety. No point in rushing in headfirst. Those lives depend on us thinking clearly. Right, let us do that. Ryan agreed, taking a deep breath. But how do we tell it's safe? What if there's another explosion? What if? Sarah stepped closer. We can't let fear dictate our actions, Ryan. We need to organize those who can help, get information, and see if we can reach out to the officials. Ryan nodded, but the knot in his stomach only tightened. Community was one thing, safety was another. Let us make a plan, he said, lifting his chin. I'll lead a group back to the mine to assess what we can do from there. Sarah, can you coordinate help here at the diner? Of course, she said, though he could see the uncertainty in her eyes. As the crowd surged with newfound purpose, Ryan felt the weight of every life, every family, on his shoulders. He glanced at Sarah again, whose empowered presence steadied him. They were all in this together, but the thought of danger lurking just behind them only fueled his determination. Take care, okay? Sarah said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Ryan nodded, unable to find the words to comfort her when both their hearts were so heavy. He turned away, gathering a handful of determined townsfolk. Let us move, he ordered, and they started toward the exit. As they stepped outside, the sun had begun to dip, painting the sky in streaks of orange and purple. Ryan's heart raced with each heavy step toward what awaited them. Would they be able to save their community, or would they walk into a trap? Every instinct urged him forward, but doubt intertwined with his urge to act. Just as they reached the edge of town, the sound of sirens pierced the air. The arrival of emergency services sent another wave of unease rippling through him. This was just the beginning, he realized. Ryan stopped in his tracks, mind racing. Is this truly just about the mine, or is there something more? Who would stoop so low? The questions loomed large, waiting to be answered. As they pushed ahead into the frame of darkening skies, a sense of urgency washed over him. What was still lurking in the shadows, ready to emerge? Ryan felt the chill of dusk creeping in, wrapping around him like a shroud. The glow of the diner behind him grew dim, the faces of friends and family fading into the shadows. He glanced back one last time, catching sight of Sarah, who stood resolutely, rallying the townsfolk. Her focus on her task gave him a surge of strength, but the relentless anxiety nagged at him. All right, let us go, he said again, pushing his group forward. We need to be smart about this. The crunch of gravel beneath their feet punctuated the rear view as they set off. Each person around him wore a mask of determination, but behind their brave faces lay an undercurrent of fear. Ryan felt it. He was not just leading, he was part of something larger, a desperate mission to shield their community. As they approached the mine, a heavy silence enveloped them. The day's chaos weighed heavily in the air, and the very walls of the mine loomed ahead like a dark, gaping wound in the landscape. Stay close, Ryan cautioned, his voice cutting through the thick disorder. Watch each other's backs. His heart raced. Every instinct told him to rush forward, to burst into the mine and ensure everyone was safe. But reason held him back. He remembered the woman's words of caution. Could there be more bombs? What if they're waiting for us? The dangerous unknown hung like a sword over them. They peeked through the entrance, hesitant. The dark corridor of the mine swallowed sound and light, but Ryan steeled himself. He caught a fleeting moment of clarity. Fear is a choice, he murmured under his breath, grounding himself. He exhaled, pushing back the worry. The need to take action didn't have to mean recklessness. With a nod, he led the group inside. The shadows clung tightly to them as they crept forward. The dim light from their flashlights flickered against the rugged walls, illuminating the signs of chaos, packs of tools strewn on the ground, dirt kicked up in hasty movements. Ryan felt a surge of anger bubble up inside him. This was not just an explosion, it was an act of cowardice designed to snuff out lives. "Everyone stay alert," he whispered, trying to keep his voice steady. They moved deeper, each step echoing into the void, when suddenly, they heard a distant, muffled sound. It was faint, almost a whimper. Ryan froze. His heart thudded against his ribs. "Did you hear that?" he asked, a sense of dread coiling in his gut. The team exchanged nervous glances, then nodded. They pressed on, driven by the instinct to rescue whoever was in peril. As they rounded the corner, a flicker of light caught Ryan's attention. He directed them toward it, every instinct urging him to hurry up. Then they saw him, a miner pinned beneath a fallen beam, terrified eyes wide with panic. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. "Jake!" he yelled, relief flooding over him mixed with the horror of the sight. "Hang on. We're coming." With no time to waste, Ryan and a few others rushed to lift the beam, straining against its weight. As their muscles screamed in protest, the cries of the miner echoed in their ears. The fear, the desperation, they could all feel it like a hot coil tightening around their hearts. "Just a little more." Ryan grunted, pushing every ounce of strength he had into the effort, feeling the echoes of his community spurring him on. Finally, with a collective effort, they managed to shift the beam, and Jake scrambled out, gasping for air. Relief washed over Ryan, but the moment was too brief. He looked around, dread washing over him once more. "Is this it?" he thought. "Will there be more?" Just as Jake stood, the earth trembled beneath their feet. A low rumble filled the mine, sending tremors through their bodies. "Get out!" Ryan shouted, panic surging inside him. "Now!" As they turned to flee, Ryan's thoughts spiraled back to the dazzling world outside. How much longer could they withstand this assault? Who was behind it all, and would they expose the truth before more devastation swept through? The darkness loomed behind them, as shadows flickered like the worst of nightmares. Would they escape this time? And would they ever uncover the identity of the saboteur hidden in their midst? Ryan led the frantic rush through the mine, heart pounding against his chest as they raced toward the light at the end of the tunnel. Dust swirled around them, thick and suffocating, making it hard to breathe. He could hear the others panting behind him, their fear palpable in the close quarters. "Keep moving!" he yelled, pushing himself forward. He could feel Jake right behind him, his breath still ragged from the shock of being rescued. Ryan's mind flickered back to Sarah, wishing she was there, wishing she could share the strength he felt growing through the chaos. Just as they reached the final stretch, a loud crack echoed through the mine. The ground shook violently beneath them. Ryan stumbled but kept his balance. "Stay together!" he shouted, clutching the miner's arm to pull him along. The weight of uncertainty pressed down even harder, every exit seeming less secure with each passing moment. With one final push, they broke through into daylight. The blast of sunlight was almost blinding, but Ryan didn't stop. He scanned the area, searching for the rest of their group. Relief flooded him as he spotted Sarah at the entrance, shouting for them, waving her arms. "Ryan!" she called, a mixture of fear and relief evident in her voice. He waved back, but then froze as he watched a shadow creep closer. A tremor rippled through him. The terror of the mine was still fresh, but there was something else lurking around them. "Ryan!" Sarah's voice broke through the fog of his thoughts. "We need to regroup. We have to get everyone safe." Just then, a loud explosion ripped through the air again. The sound of metal and debris crashing to the ground sent chills down Ryan's spine. He turned to see plumes of dust rising from where the entrance had been. The mine was collapsing behind them. What the hell is going on? Jake stumbled beside him, wide-eyed, glancing back toward the mine's mouth. It's them, Ryan muttered, realization dawning on him. This was no random act, someone was orchestrating their fear, targeting them as if they were puppets for a twisted game. Determination ignited in him. We need to warn the town. They could be next. Before he could formulate a plan, the sound of shouting pulled his attention back to Sarah. Everyone's out. We have to get to safety. She was motioning toward the vehicles parked haphazardly near the diner, the glow of familiarity giving Ryan a momentary sense of hope. But that hope quickly turned into urgency as more explosions echoed in the distance. With every second counting, they sprinted toward the trucks, making sure no one was left behind. They could feel the ground tremble again, and Ryan realized they were in a race against time. As they reached the vehicles, a panicked group of townsfolk were already gathering, but not everyone was there. Ryan looked around, counting heads. We're missing a few. Where's Hank? His chest tightened at the thought of risking anyone else. He knew they couldn't leave anyone behind. I'll go back. Someone needs to help me. He shouted to the group. Are you crazy? Jake pulled him back, a desperate look in his eyes. We can't risk it. We have to, Ryan insisted, determination grounding his fear. We're not done here. We can't just abandon them. Virginia, a mother of two, stepped forward. I'll go with you. She said, eyes blazing with determination. Me too. Jake interned. They exchanged somber glances before diving into the chaos again, their breaths shallow as they returned toward the mines. Despite the terror lingering in every shadow, Ryan felt a sense of unity with his friends. Together, they would face whatever horrors lay ahead, refusing to back down. But as they ventured back, Ryan's heart pounded not just with fear but a growing sense of something larger than themselves. The mine was more than just a lifeline, it was a beacon, a place that tied their fates. What if they come after us again? Jake breathed out, adrenaline still coursing through him. Ryan shot him a hard look. Then we fight back. This ends now. Little did they know, their fight might uncover secrets buried deeper than the mine itself. As they pressed forward, a shadowed figure watched from the distance. Who were they up against? And what lengths would they go to silence them for good? Ryan brushed past the remnants of shattered rock and dust, pushing deeper into the darkness of the mine with Virginia and Jake right behind him. The air was thick, making every breath feel like a small victory against the suffocating panic that danced in the corners of their minds. As they moved forward, shadows flickered like ghostly figures along the walls. It felt like the heart of the mine was alive, holding on to secrets long buried in the earth. Stay close, Ryan urged, his voice low but firm, cutting through the oppressive silence. He could feel the pulse of urgency in the backs of his legs, each step a reminder that they were racing against time itself. The mine had been a place of hard work, but now it twisted into a labyrinth of fear and dread. What if Hank's in trouble? Virginia whispered, her voice barely more than a nervous tremor, her eyes wide. He is, Ryan replied without hesitation. But we'll find him. We can't leave anyone behind. Not now. Jake adjusted his grip on a rusty mining tool he had picked up, a makeshift weapon against the unknown. Keep your eyes peeled, and don't let anything sneak up on us. They plunged into an even darker tunnel, the faint glow of their flashlights revealing walls caked with dust and rust. Ryan's heart thudded painfully in his chest as another rumble echoed through the chamber, the mine trembling beneath them as if to warn them away. Was that? Virginia began, wide-eyed. Yeah, it was, Ryan assured her, clenching his jaw. They had little time to spare. The thought of leaving Hank behind gnawed at him. They couldn't afford to let fear dictate their actions. Suddenly, the flashlight beam caught a flicker of movement farther down the tunnel. Ryan's breath caught in his throat as he turned, a cold knot tightening in his stomach. "Did you see that?" "What?" Jake strained to see, nerves getting the better of him. "There. Over there." Ryan pointed to a darkened corner. The glimmer he had spotted faded away, leaving nothing but shadows behind. "I didn't see anything," Jake replied, uneasy. "Well, I did," Ryan insisted, instinct kicking in. "We need to keep moving." They urged forward, the tight space making every sound seem amplified. Dirt shifted, scuffling feet, whispers of uncertainty hanging in the air like a foreboding fog. With every few steps, Ryan felt the growing weight of dread something was wrong. They were not alone. Then they heard it, a soft call, a mere whisper carried through the mine. "Help me!" Ryan's heart raced. "Hank!" he shouted, lunging toward the sound without thinking. It echoed against the cavern walls as fear transformed into fierce determination. The whispers grew louder, they pulled him toward a narrow shaft to his right. "Hank! Are you in there?" The walls closed in on him, making it hard to breathe, but he didn't back down. "Virginia, Jake, come on." He rushed into the shaft, adrenaline surging through him. As they stepped into a small chamber, their flashlights illuminated a figure crumpled against the wall. It was Hank, bloodied but conscious. Relief flooded Ryan as he knelt beside him. "Hank! Can you hear me?" "Hurt, can't move," Hank croaked, his voice strained with pain. Ryan's heart sank. "We have to get you out of here now." "Wait," Hank gasped, panic in his eyes. "They're coming, they know you're here." The realization hit Ryan like a slap. They were being hunted. Panic roared back to life, but it quickly hardened into resolve. They couldn't be helpless prey. "We have to move. Jake, help me get him up." "No way, it's too dangerous," Jake argued, glancing back toward the tunnel. "It's now or never. We can't leave him," Virginia insisted, fiercely determined. Ryan grabbed Hank under the arm, pulling him towards his feet. They exchanged quick glances, a silent understanding passing between them. They were in this together, come hell or high water. With the threat of the unknown looming over them, they had to escape. The walls of the mine seemed to pulse with urgency rather than a death sentence, as if encouraging their escape. But what awaited them outside? Just then, the walls trembled violently, dust raining down as the mine shuddered ominously. Ryan's next words hung heavy in the air. "We need to move, and fast." Adrenaline coursed through him. They had to face whatever darkness lay ahead together, but could they outpace fate? The truth was out there, lurking beneath layers of silence and secrecy. What other secrets did the mine hold? And would they make it out alive before time ran out? Ryan hoisted Hank up, the weight of his friend's body leaning heavily against him. Each labored breath from Hank was a reminder of the urgency pressing down on them. "We can't stay here," Ryan urged, his voice strained but steady. "We have to keep moving." Virginia and Jake flanked them, worry etched on their faces. The chamber felt like a trap, closing in on them. Every creak and crack of the mine echoed like a warning. "Can you walk?" Jake asked, his eyes darting nervously toward the dark tunnel. "I'll try," Hank managed, gritting his teeth. It took every ounce of strength to push himself to his feet, but with Ryan's support, he stood, albeit unsteadily. The fear was palpable, crawling under their skin as they huddled close, moving cautiously toward the exit they had come from. "What did you mean, Hank?" Ryan whispered, his voice low as they edged back toward the narrow shaft. "Who's coming?" "They know we're here, they're not just wildlife," Hank said, swallowing hard as he touched his side gingerly. "It's something more." The uncertainty lingered in the air, even as they forged ahead, each step heavier than the last. The mine's silence felt thick, as if it were holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable. Suddenly, another tremor rocked the ground beneath them. Dust rained down from the ceiling, a reminder that the earth was unstable, much like their situation. We have to hurry. Virginia exclaimed, eyes wide with fear. Ryan clenched Hank tighter against him, leading the group back through the passageway, heart pounding. They reached the turn where shadows played tricks against the light, and Ryan felt a flicker of movement again, just beyond reach. Stay alert, he commanded, gripping the mining tool Jake carried tighter. Ryan, slow down, Jake urged. We need a plan. We don't have time for a plan. Ryan snapped, a flash of anger fueled by panic. Hank's hurt. We need to get him out. Another whisper brushed through the tunnel. Help me. It was faint but unmistakable. Someone else was down here. Ryan glared at the darkness, a mix of concern and fear washing over him. What if it's a trap? Jake hesitated. How do we know it's not them? We can't just ignore it, Virginia said, her voice trembling as she clutched her flashlight. If someone else needs help, it could be Hank's brother, Ryan blurted out, the yearning in his heart pushing out fear. We can't leave anyone behind. The group exchanged worried glances. Virginia's determination sparkled, while Jake shifted uneasily. The weight of the decision hung in the air, drowning the light of hope. Then we check, Jake finally admitted, heart pounding. But we stick together. They diverted into another tunnel, the walls growing narrower. Each step echoed like a heartbeat, pulsing with anxiety. Shadows danced around them, each flicker prompting Ryan to grip Hank tighter. Just a little further, he encouraged. As they pushed into the gloom, a sudden crash rang out behind them, reverberating loudly. With hearts racing, they glanced back just in time to witness stones falling, blocking their original path. We're trapped. Hank gasped, eyes wide. No, not yet. Ryan shouted, desperation igniting a surge of energy. We can still find a way out. What do we do now? Virginia asked, fear punctuating her voice. Keep moving, follow the voices. We can't let fear control us. Ryan's resolve hardened. If we can find whoever called out, we may be able to figure this out. Their flashlights caught a glimpse of movement up ahead, a flicker of light that beckoned them. There. Ryan pointed. Let us go. As they stumbled forward, the whispers grew louder, almost guiding them. But behind them, the echoes of doom loomed closer. What peace lay in the darkness ahead? And were they truly prepared to unearth the mind's secrets or learn what haunted it? Clenching his fists, Ryan pressed on. This was more than a rescue. They were on the brink of unveiling long-buried truths, and perhaps they defined more than just a way out. Would they risk everything to uncover what lay deep in the heart of the mine? With each frantic step through the tight, dark tunnel, Ryan felt the pulse of something more significant beneath the surface. The cries of their friends echoed in his mind as he urged forward, his heart thumping with fear and determination. We need to find them and get everyone out, he insisted, the urgency of their task fueling his resolve. Virginia and Jake remained by his side, shadows of worry etched across their faces. They moved deeper into the mine, where every whisper seemed to amplify their trepidation. But they had no choice, they were trapped and had to push through. Hold on to hope, Ryan urged, his voice steady despite the rising tide of fear. Suddenly, the faint glow of light flickered ahead, illuminating an opening. There. Ryan pointed, leading the way. As they approached, sounds of muffled voices reached their ears, and anxiety turned into a desperate hope. If someone was there, they could be saved. As they crossed the threshold into the chamber, Ryan stopped short. The sight before him was both a bitter reminder of the mine's dangers and a spark of relief. It was their missing friend, Hank's brother, Tom. Ryan. Is that you? Tom gasped, his face streaked with dust, eyes wild with panic. Yes. We're here. Hang on. Ryan called, relief flooding through him as they rushed to his side. Tom was pinned by debris, his leg caught beneath fallen rocks. You have to help me. I saw someone down here. Someone who did this. Panic coursed through his voice, mirroring the fear that crackled in the air. "Don't worry. We'll get you out," Hank exclaimed, his voice strained but pushing through the pain as he joined his brother. Together, they worked to lift the larger rocks, adrenaline powering their efforts. But behind them, Ryan noticed the shadows shifting again, the whispers faintly crescendoing into what felt like an ominous warning. "We have to hurry," he urged as the ground trembled beneath them once more. Just as they finally freed Tom, the mine shook violently, and a loud crash echoed throughout, sending rocks cascading toward them. "Run!" Jake shouted, fear etched on his face as he grabbed Tom and Hank by the arms, urging them toward the opening they had just crossed. They sprinted through the labyrinth with renewed urgency, the very walls seeming to close in around them. Ryan felt every beat of his heart pounding in cadence with the grinding earth, a primal scream urging them forward. The chaos surged, but so did the spirit of determination. As they neared the exit, another explosion rocked the mine, throwing them off balance and blocking their escape once again. "This has to be the last one," Ryan yelled, gritting his teeth in frustration. "Look out!" Virginia shouted, the word ringing through the air like a tolling bell. They dodged falling debris, their hearts pounding as they surged toward the dim beam of light that now felt like salvation. Finally, with one last push, they broke through the archway into the open air, a wave of warmth flooding over them even as the fear still tinged their hearts. Outside, the world had transformed. Flames flickered at the entrance of the mine, smoke billowing into the sky. The vibration of distant sirens thrummed like a heartbeat. "Everyone! Over here!" Sarah's voice cut through the chaos, her figure moving among the crowd gathered in front of the diner. Relief flooded Ryan as he spotted her. As they stumbled toward her, gasping for air and taking in the stark reality of their surroundings, Ryan felt his heart swell. They had experienced darkness and come out alive. The weight of pain they had shared forged an unbreakable bond. "You made it!" Sarah cried, her eyes shining with happiness, rushing to their side. "I was so worried. But I'm so glad you're here." Ryan's eyes met hers, and in that moment, everything shifted. He realized that love could conquer even the deepest fears. "We're okay," he breathed, relief mingling with joy. "We'll make it through this. Together." But as the townsfolk began to gather, sharing anxious murmurs of concern and conflict, Ryan's heart sank once more. While they had been pulled back from the brink, they faced another threat. "We need to find out who is behind this," he declared, feeling assurance swell within him. "They couldn't let anyone else suffer for this evil." Tom nodded, determination reflecting in his eyes. "We won't let fear win. We will stand united." As the townspeople clung together, a murmur of agreement arose. The community had weathered storms before, they could overcome this one too, together. Ryan's gaze shifted to Sarah. "This isn't just about survival," he said, voice fierce. "It's about rebuilding trust and fighting for each other. This community is stronger than secrets." The flames flickered in the fading light, casting shadows of uncertainty but also of resilience. Among the whispers of doubt, a powerful kinship began to blossom. As sirens blared closer, the crowd rallied around them. "We will uncover the truth," Ryan declared, passion igniting the resolve in their hearts. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with. This was just the beginning. They would face the darkness that threatened to divide them, illuminating their hearts, step by step, in the light of unity and love. It felt surreal, like the dawn breaking after the longest night. They had fought against the odds, and as they stood together, hands intertwined, hearts aflame, Ryan finally understood the power of community and what it truly meant to love one another. No more would fear bind them. This new chapter held a promise, a chance to transform their town into something greater. They would rise, stronger than before, conquering fears and forging connections that the darkness could never extinguish. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for this community we're building together. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support matters. Join us as we continue this journey together.